School Honors Performance Series at Carnegie Hall. That's right, she traveled to New York City to perform on one of the world's most famous stages with some of the world's best young musicians. It is a Thursday morning at Clark High School.
1, 2, air out.
The class, intermediate band.
This is what I wanted to play. So when I picked it up first, I was like, wow.
And freshman Francesca Srinaryana is back in Las Vegas after a life-changing trip to New York City.
I wanted to go because, like I said, I really love my instrument, and I really like to get to know people that also are interested in the same things that I am.
It's a lifetime experience. It's something nobody can take away.
Private flute instructor Cynthia Ferris.
It's called Honors Performance Series. It started in 2010 as an opportunity for high school students to perform at Carnegie Hall.
Francesca auditioned for the opportunity via video, and then came the email.
It said, congratulations, you were accepted, and I was in the symphonic orchestra, and that's the highest one that there is, so I was really happy.
Not long after, Francesca and her mom were on a plane to New York City.
I just feel like music is an international language that everybody understands and can appreciate, and so I want her to be able to experience it and share it.
First came rehearsals.
There was a couple kids from outside of the U.S. They were all high school students like me. They were amazing. They were really good players. They were the best.
Before the big performance at Carnegie Hall.
It was my jaw was on the floor. It was so big.
It was wonderful to have my daughter on the Carnegie Music Hall stage playing an instrument that she loves.
The Honors Performance Series was an incredible learning experience.
Any kind of honor group, especially something like that where it's at the national level, it helps kids get inspired, but also it introduces them to much more challenging music, which is always good for their growth.
I think it's helped me not just in music, but in other places, my work ethic and everything.
And celebration of talent.
Francesca is a natural with the flute. We learned several years ago that the wand picks the wizard and the flute picked Francesca. It was just a natural fit for her.
That has inspired Francesca in so many ways.
I'm going back into the spring for spring break, and I want to go back to Carnegie Hall so I can watch a professional orchestra play.
Congratulations, Francesca, so proud of you. And we should mention that more than 10,000 students were nominated for the Honors Performance Series between all of the ensembles. What an incredible honor to be selected. Well, Nevada Reading Week just concluded, and this year's theme, Color Our World with Books. You probably saw this super cool logo on t-shirts, flyers, and just about everything. But did you know that this logo was designed by a Nevada student? In fact, more than 750 students from across the state took part in the Nevada Reading Week Art Contest to create this year's official logo, and the grand prize winner is from El Dorado High School.
My name is Kaylin Kindred, and I am a junior here at El Dorado High School. What I like about drawing is that you can just basically create anything.
So Nevada Reading Week is a statewide celebration of the love and joy of reading. So every year we have a new logo that matches the theme. So this year is Color Our World with Books. In the spring we do a big announcement, and then that leads into the student art contest.
Our librarian forwarded me information about the Nevada Reading Week contest, and I opened it up to National Honor Society.
I tried to make it as simple because I didn't want too much, so it didn't look like the prompt. But yeah, that's basically it. I tried making it as simple, so I just made literal books coloring the world as little characters.
We felt like her theme was just a very unique take as to having the books actually coloring the world, and we thought that this theme would appeal not only to high school students but to students in elementary school as well.
And hers was kind of just straight to the point, and it just showed something kid-friendly as well. So I just thought it was a perfect design.
I was pretty surprised because I was walking home and I didn't expect anything at all because I was doing it for fun, and honestly it was pretty worth it because I got to see my art up in a website and all around Nevada, and people are supporting it.
I think sometimes we focus on the importance of reading. We forget that there's also a lot of joy that happens in reading. And I think that's what the art contest is truly about. It's about the joy of reading and expressing that joy through many different ways.
It's like, oh my gosh, that's amazing for El Dorado. We have a lot of talent here. And I just feel like they should be recognized more for that.
She was really proud of me, and I'm proud of myself. Yeah.
You should be proud of yourself.
I am very proud. It's pretty fun seeing your own artworks.
Kaylin, I'm proud of you too. Nice job. And now to Clark High School, where a freshman flutist was recently chosen for the High School Honors Performance Series at Carnegie Hall. That's right, she traveled to New York City to perform on one of the world's most famous stages with some of the world's best young musicians. It is a Thursday morning at Clark High School.
1, 2, air out.
The class, intermediate band.
This is what I wanted to play. So when I picked it up first, I was like, wow.
And freshman Francesca Srinaryana is back in Las Vegas after a life-changing trip to New York City.
I wanted to go because, like I said, I really love my instrument, and I really like to get to know people that also are interested in the same things that I am.
It's a lifetime experience. It's something nobody can take away.
Private flute instructor Cynthia Ferris.
It's called Honors Performance Series. It started in 2010 as an opportunity for high school students to perform at Carnegie Hall.
Francesca auditioned for the opportunity via video, and then came the email.
It said, congratulations, you were accepted. And I was in the symphonic orchestra, and that's the highest one that there is, so I was really happy.
Not long after, Francesca and her mom were on a plane to New York City.
I just feel like music is an international language that everybody understands and can appreciate, and so I want her to be able to experience it and share it.
First came rehearsals.
There was a couple kids from outside of the US. They were all high school students like me. They were amazing. They were really good players. They were the best.
Before the big performance at Carnegie Hall.
It was my jaw was on the floor. It was so big.
It was wonderful to have my daughter on the Carnegie Music Hall stage playing an instrument that she loves.
The Honors Performance Series was an incredible learning experience.
Any kind of honor group, especially something like that where it's at the national level, it helps kids get inspired, but also it introduces them to much more challenging music, which is always good for their growth.
I think it's helped me not just in music, but in other places, my work ethic and everything.
And celebration of talent.
Francesca is a natural with the flute. We learned several years ago that the wand picks the wizard and the flute picked Francesca. It was just a natural fit for her.
That has inspired Francesca in so many ways.
I'm going back into the spring for spring break, and I want to go back to Carnegie Hall so I can watch a professional orchestra play.
Congratulations, Francesca, so proud of you. And we should mention that more than 10,000 students were nominated for the Honors Performance Series between all of the ensembles. What an incredible honor to be selected. Well, Nevada Reading Week just concluded, and this year's theme, Color Our World with Books. You probably saw this super cool logo on t-shirts, flyers, and just about everything. But did you know that this logo was designed by a Nevada student? In fact, more than 750 students from across the state took part in the Nevada Reading Week Art Contest to create this year's official logo, and the grand prize winner is from El Dorado High School.
My name is Kaylin Kindred, and I am a junior here at El Dorado High School. What I like about drawing is that you can just basically create anything.
So Nevada Reading Week is a statewide celebration of the love and joy of reading. So every year we have a new logo that matches the theme. So this year is Color Our World with Books. In the spring we do a big announcement, and then that leads into the student art contest.
Our librarian forwarded me information about the Nevada Reading Week contest, and I opened it up to National Honor Society.
I tried to make it as simple because I didn't want too much, so it didn't look like the prompt. But yeah, that's basically it. Like, I tried making it as simple, so I just made like literal books coloring the world like as little characters.
We felt like her theme was just a very unique take as to having the books actually coloring the world. And we thought that this theme would appeal not only to high school students, but to students in elementary school as well.
And hers was kind of just straight to the point, and it just showed something kid-friendly as well. So I just thought it was a perfect design.
I was pretty surprised because I was walking home and I didn't expect anything at all because I was doing it for fun. And honestly, it was pretty worth it because I get to see my art up in a website and all around Nevada, and people are supporting it.
I think sometimes we focus on the importance of reading. We forget that there's also a lot of joy that happens in reading. And I think that's what the art contest is truly about. It's about the joy of reading and expressing that joy through many different ways.
It's like, oh my gosh, that's amazing for El Dorado. We have a lot of talent here. So, and I just feel like they should be recognized more for that.
She was really proud of me and I'm proud of myself. Yeah.
You should be proud of yourself.
I am very proud. It's pretty fun seeing your own artworks.
Kaylin, I'm proud of you too. Nice job.
I am Tamika Henry. I'm the clerk for the board, and I would like to call this work session of April 2nd, 2025 to order, and the time is 4:06 p.m. I would like to remind everyone to silence your electronics, and we will acknowledge the land on which we gather. It is the territorial homelands of the Nuwu, the Mawapa Band of Paiutes, and the Las Vegas Band of Paiutes. And we have our opening items, our flag salute. And Trustee Satori, can you please lead the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you all so much. And before I open item 1.02, is there anyone who did not get a chance to complete a public speaker card? If not, please do so now. And also, please refer to the public speaker. Oh, we don't have a list. Thank you. Looking like I'm trying to make sure I got everything. And I also want to ask you all if we can have flexibility in our agenda for this afternoon and evening. So we may take things out of order. And Trustee Stevens, will you please make the motion to approve the agenda?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda with the following changes. We have reference material that's been provided for item 2.04, the appointment of Bond Oversight Committee members, and reference material has been provided for item 2.05, special board counsel.
Thank you, Trustee Stevens. And is there a second? Trustee Dominguez?
I'd like to second the motion.
Thank you, Trustee Dominguez. All right, we have a first and a second on the floor. If you can please cast your votes. All right, that motion carries 4-0.
Madam Clerk,
All right.
I didn't see your vote getting registered. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
how
if that
about
was.
that? There I go. Thank you so much. All right. There we go, 5-0. Thank you. Next, we have the trustee business items, governance and professional learning, 2.01. Before I open the item, is there anyone who did not get a chance to complete a public speaker card? If not, please do so now. Caitlin, do we have any? And we do have, and I'm sorry, we do have Dr. Owlsbury on the phone, and Trustee Johnson is on the phone as well. And this is for discussion and possible action on the balanced governance and comprehensive board of governance services. Thank you, Joe. Please support us on this item.
Absolutely. Madam Clerk, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Larson Mitchell, Joe Caruso for the record. We have with us on the phone Dr. Owlsbury, and the purpose of this item, Trustee Bustamante Adams had asked Dr. Owlsbury to review the proposal, which is reference 2.01. And the ask was for Dr. Owlsbury to kind of walk through the summary of services by completion date, to explain how he grouped those together and his recommendation for additional training for the board moving forward. At the end, there'll be a chance to have questions And then the costs are listed on the last page, page 13. And then at that point, we would just need direction from the board and a motion as to how to proceed in next steps. So, Madam Clerk, if you'd like, Dr. Osbury's available and can kind of walk through the proposal.
Thank you so much, Mr. Caruso. Hello, Dr. Alsbury, if you can please walk us through the presentation.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it. Sure, be happy to do that. So in the proposal that I sent, it's composed of a summary of the services that you had requested. And in addition to that, a detailed section that describes those same services, and then finally the budgeted amount. As per your request, I've sorted these out based upon sort of when they would be billed. Just for everybody's reference, and I think this is pretty standard, what I do is with a district is it's only after the service is completed that I would be sending an invoice for billing. And so because of that, and the fact that these services then will conclude over actually 3 different budget years, I divided it up again so that you could see what the cost each year would be for the various services. And that would hopefully help the board to make its decisions about what you wanted. So in the 2024-25, and I'm looking at page 2 of the proposal, we have 3 different services. These were sorted in a way that I felt were the most timely to get completed. And this also based upon the reaction and the response informally that I received from the board when we were doing our previous training session together. And so the first one, there was a real desire for the board to receive parliamentary procedure training in an in-person training. And so that's included in this to be done very soon. I think the suggestion has been May 2nd to do that, if that works out for the board. I know Mr. Caruso is working to try to schedule that. The second service would be to conduct a review of the policy and handbook. And during that same parliamentary procedure training, I would present some information. Of course, that wouldn't be completed in its entirety yet, but I would have had a chance to review the policies and also to put together a procedural handbook for the board and for them to begin thinking about that. And in the May 2nd, my intention would be to review that and review some of the changes that I might be recommending in that handbook. Again, like I say, we wouldn't be concluding that, but it would be just an opening session where I could share some of the changes that I would see and give you a sample of the actual handbook so you could get an idea of how it would look and the wording, how it's divided up into topics and things like that. And that also would give me an opportunity to get feedback from the board as I move forward to continue to work on the completion of that handbook for you. Also thought that during that May 2nd time, if possible, since I'll be there in person, and that initially we had talked about a 2-hour training and for just the parts that I've just mentioned, it was suggested, I thought a very good suggestion by the board president about maybe doing the interim superintendent, the exit interview of the interim superintendent, which you had asked for. That could be done while I'm there, certainly. And in addition to that, there could even be some of the new superintendent onboard training since you've made that selection if the new superintendent were available. So that could also happen all during that May 2nd and or May 3rd. I've told Joe and Mr. Caruso that I could be available for an additional day if it worked out that way to help out, to get all of that done. I had then, for the next budget year, which would start, I believe, July 1st of 2025, we would be working during the 25-26 year on the training of district leadership. We had done that before, and it was quite successful. Again, Mr. Caruso was part of that and might speak to that as well on his take on how that was received. But we had quite a few of the leaders within the district. Of course, when the board is implementing a particular governance approach, it inevitably is going to impact the immediate staff that work with the superintendent, because they're the ones preparing the board reports and also implementing some of the policies, like in terms of communication, for example, between board members and district administrators and the like. And so that kind of district training, we had talked about that being completed perhaps in October. Of course, these dates are based on what you've requested and are flexible on my end. In addition, we'd want to work on the board evaluation, and we would begin that work in the late summer and try to complete it in September. That usually takes several months to complete because that board evaluation is comprised of 3 different parts. One part is a self-assessment survey, which is based upon balanced governance standards. The second part is a second survey that's based upon the 10 effective practices of individual board members. That incorporates the ability for board members to have individual reflection and individual evaluation and coaching with me. And then finally, we do observations of board meetings that have been selected by you. And we would, of course, it takes time to do those observations and to analyze that data as we have a pause button and we watch those board meetings second by second and analyze what's happening. And then all 3 of those sections are put together into a comprehensive board evaluation report, which includes recommendations. So that's what we had slated for 25-26. Then in the 26-27 year, of course, we would begin, and this could, we'd actually begin in October of 2025 in the superintendent evaluation process. So this would be looking at the 26-27 superintendent evaluation. This would be completed actually in 26, okay, at the October of 2026. The evaluation, of course, we want to begin by identifying some strategic goals and putting together the evaluation tool, making sure that everything's clear in terms of the language, the rating, cutoff scores, and the like. And so that we try to do that work early on, even before, as soon as we can before the new year starts. Typically, we would have already done that in February of this year for next year's evaluation, but just because of the time we're starting, we're modifying that a little bit. It'll be fine. We'll be able to get that in place, but then everybody's clear on what goals we're looking at, all the materials, how it's going to work, the timeline, the steps behind that superintendent evaluation, and they'll have time to ask questions and the like for that. So that 25-26 we'll be doing that superintendent evaluation work. There'll be a mid-year check, mid-year progress check in February of 2026. We would also begin the new cycle for the 26-27 evaluation would start in February of 2026. And then the final, again, evaluation, hope to deliver that or plan to deliver that in October of 2026. And so that concludes, of course, we'll be in a third budget year by then. So by the time that work is completed, then that billing comes, again, falls under the 26-27 budget year. The only other additional part of the services that you've requested is an individual consultation. That kind of spans all 3 fiscal years and is only as an as needed requested basis, but I just want to make myself available to the superintendent, the board president, and board liaison, Mr. Caruso, in case they have questions, need advice, recommendations, need me to do any kind of last minute work in terms of any policy modifications or handbook modifications or anything like that. Of course, everything that's already paid for within the other categories that I've already mentioned, there's no additional cost for any of the planning meetings. And we have quite a few of those to get ready for whenever I'm doing any of this. That's all part of the cost. There's no additional cost to that. So this would only be for something that's outside of the stated services that is being requested of me. And then there would be a per hour charge for that. Again, completely optional to the district. And that's it. So I think I'll be quiet and give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alsbury. And I want to note that Vice President Zamora is on the line now, so she will lead the meeting, but I will let her know who's in queue. So I believe our first question, I'm sorry, Trustee Zamora, I want to make sure you're there.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Trustee Henry. As Trustee Henry mentioned, I will be leaning on support just to let me know who's on the queue since we don't have visuals on this end. Dr. Alsbury, thank you so much for your presentation. We will be opening it up for questions now, and we will do public comment after, and then a motion. So colleagues, as a reminder, we'll hold on any motion. Trustee Henry?
Yes, first up we have Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Dr. Ellsbury. Glad to have you with us again. I have a few questions, just opening questions, then I'll get back in the queue because I see there's other people here. On board training, sorry, long day, parliamentary procedure, balanced governance standards and procedures training complete by May 2025. It says for the full board, is there going to be any specified training for our vice president who will then act as our parliamentarian? Or is this going to be the same training for the entire board?
Yeah, the way that I envisioned it, again, thank you for the question, appreciate that. I felt that, and my advice would be that the training would go to the entire board because, the entire board is cooperating with the parliamentary procedures, even though it is the vice president who's officially, enforcing that. It's good, I think, for everybody to be trained in it. Certainly, if there were some additional training or coaching, I'm certainly open to do that additional work. But I was planning on giving everybody the full training.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm really happy to hear that. I think that would be very efficient and effective. On your second part here on policy review and revision handbook development, trying to complete by June 2025, and again, kind of piggybacking back to the board training, we have, let's see, did you say, and I'm not sure because I was taking notes, did you say you wanted to have that on May 2nd? Somewhere I caught the date, May 2nd.
Yeah, I thought that it would make sense. I'm trying to, again, this was an item that the board seemed very interested in, particularly the handbook and getting that in place. And the plan is to get that completed, for me to complete that and deliver that to the board by June 2025. I mentioned this May 2nd because I'm planning to be there to do this other training. I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to show some excerpts of the new handbook and to get some feedback from the board at that time. So then when I go home and I'm working on completing that by June, that would be helpful to me. So that's what I had mentioned about the May 2nd.
Thank you so much. That really helps a lot as far as the timeline, because I think, and I don't know, trustees might have to help me out here with the graduation schedule, because I think our first graduation start around May 14th, somewhere around there. And then in June, it seems like we almost always have some trustees away from the state for vacation. So I'm kind of just trying to visualize how that would happen and be inclusive of as many people as possible. Last question, turn it over to colleagues. On this policy review and revision, this is something where all of the trustees would be included in this, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I would bring some recommendations, and then of course the board would need, and it would be to the full board, Trustee Cavalos. And then of course that wouldn't be completed, I wouldn't imagine, by June. This is just when I would bring my recommendations of any potential revisions that the board might consider. And then it has to go through its readings, the first, second, third readings. It has to be approved in the end before it's enacted. So it would be the full board, and it would be the regular process that you would go through.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ellsbury. Appreciate it, and I'll turn it over to colleagues now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Trustee Henry. I thank you, Dr. Ellsbury, for coming in. I am always excited when I hear about board governance. And so I have just a question that I kind of want to go off of Trustee Cavazos. If we're having the VP included in kind of a, which I appreciate doing the full board training for parliamentary procedures, if we're including the VP and just kind of that communication with you, should we, I could suggest maybe including her as part of one of the individuals for the individual consultation?
That would be perfectly fine with me, and there's no problem on my end with doing that.
Great. And then one of the other questions I had was, we're currently in this very awkward balance between hiring the superintendent and also bringing in balanced board governance. I'm trying to envision how we are going to have this superintendent and kind of develop her contract to include the evaluation into the contract. Are we doing that beforehand, or I'm just trying to understand how we can balance the two out at the same time.
Yeah, I don't have, again, I'll defer as far as the contract when it's completed and who's working on that. I'm not part of that. But what my recommendation, my advice would be is particularly this first year, because we're just getting into this new cycle of evaluation, that there be language that's general enough, that's open enough, that it allows for you to utilize the superintendent evaluation process. In addition to that, and I don't know how the timing works, but like I mentioned, I'll be there May 2nd. We had talked about possibly doing some, if the new superintendent's available, doing some of that individual onboarding training with me, and that would be a great opportunity. I would plan on going over with the new superintendent the evaluation process and timeline that we use in balanced governance so that they would be aware of that. I think that would be helpful as well. Yeah. And yeah, so that'd be my recommendation. Now, usually in districts that I work with, once they're in the cycle, they're used to using the cycle, they then tend to draft in the superintendent's contract a little more specificity in terms of the evaluation cycle. What I'm going to recommend I'm going to look at your policy, and the balanced governance policy on superintendent evaluation basically recommends that the superintendent be evaluated using this cycle, this superintendent cycle from balanced governance, and then generally the district will write something to that effect in the contract. It's kind of the superintendent's required to follow policy, and the policy says we're following balanced governance evaluation for the superintendent, then you sort of are taken care of language-wise in the contract. So, but once again, I want to put in the caveat, as my daughter, who's an attorney, always reminds me, Dad, you're not an attorney. So I'll leave that final details to whichever attorneys are doing the contract and negotiating with the new superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Ellsbury. So I guess we'll have to be in communication to make sure that we are putting the balance board governance evaluation, the superintendent evaluation, kind of, the language needs to be within the cycle of the board, the balance board governance. So hopefully, I think I said that backwards, but hopefully we can get an attorney that can scribe that out correctly. So, thank you.
Next, we have Trustee Esparza Stafford.
Got it. Yes. Hello, Dr. Ellsbury.
Hello.
So my question is this. I'm looking at the calendar, and if you're coming back in May to do the portion for reviewing the policies at that particular session, I actually have an ask of our board liaison to give us an opportunity to review some of the past policies. So is it possible, Mr. Caruso, to have the policies prior to the policies that currently exist given to us electronically? And that would allow us 4 weeks of homework, trustees, to review what was, and then to look at what is, and then we can go forward on what needs to be. So is that possible?
And let me just clarify before Mr. Caruso responds to that we have a very short time together, and we're going to be trying to do a lot of things on that May 2nd. The handbook and the policy recommendations won't be completed. So I'll only be giving you a sample that I've used in previous districts so that you have an idea. You can look at the formatting of how the handbook is laid out and how the topics are divided and that kind of thing. There won't be really specific content yet available until I complete the document in June. And so it'll only be examples. And so it might be a bit premature to do. I think the comparison idea is a great idea and is going to be absolutely necessary, but I don't know that we're going to be ready for that on May the 2nd.
If I can jump in, Dr. Ellsbury, I think I appreciate what you're saying. You're not going to try to overwhelm the team, but I want to make a personal ask as an individual. I do want to have that. Maybe others don't want it, but I think it's valuable, even with the time frame that we have over the summer. And we can individualize, and people cannot do their homework. But I'm just asking that we could have the previous policies to do I will want to do a comparison on my own time. So if Mr. Caruso could approach, please.
Trustee Esparza Stafford, again to your question. So all the policies are in board docs. So everything everything from 2016 to today, because we follow the same process for the governance policies as we do for district policies and regs, which means that anytime a policy is changed, it has to come as a notice of intent. The board has to vote on it 2 times in order for the governance policy to change. So everything from 2016 to today is in board docs. So you can go back through all the meetings were agendized and all the policies came back twice for review. So they're all posted in there. And the current listing of policies is under the trustee page, governance policies, and you can see the date of amendment that it was approved. So it's already online.
Thank you for that, Mr. Caruso. Dr. Alsbury, I will personally reach out to you because there's a time frame that I'm looking for specifically so that I can make sure when I do my homework and go on the board docs to go back in time, I'm accurate with that. So no further questions at this time.
I will now turn it back over to our chairperson. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just for the record, I rebu Samantha Adams. Thank you, Trustee Henry, for taking over. Tried to plan to get here on time, but had 2 delayed flights from the East Coast, so my apologies. So I don't think there's any other questions on agenda item 2.01 for the governance professional learning. I believe all the questions were answered. At this time, then, have we already had public comment? There's no public comment. Okay, then I will entertain a motion for us to approve the Balanced Governance Comprehensive Board. Oh, Mr. Caruso.
Madam President, thank you. Before you do that, I just want to point out the cost. So if you can just look to the last page. So in the proposal, previously the board approved the expenditure and we did a budget request for Dr. Alsbury. We had initially approved a total budget of $60,000 for the governance professional learning. To date, we have a remaining balance of $50,500. So if you were to approve the entire package that's listed here on page 13 is $68,500. So I just want to point out that we would have to utilize funding from the, we have funding right now in the board budget that we could utilize to offset that, but I just want to disclose that we would have to access that funding to move forward. And then I would need to work with the purchasing department. I've already reached out to Mr. Staggs on some options for us. There was a agreement that was entered into with Dr. Alsbury back in 2016, a professional services agreement that they said that they could incorporate an amendment, not an amendment, my apologies, incorporating the proposal as a statement of work. And then basically what we would do is just use that amendment, create an amendment based on what the board approves tonight to move forward. So I just want to make sure you know the backside on that.
Thank you so much. Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I am going to hold. I was going to do a motion, but I will hold for my fellow trustees.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos.
I was just going to second the motion that I thought Trustee Dominguez was going to
so
make.
hold on. Trustee Stevens.
Hey, Joe, we need you. I have a question for you about the money. If I recall, we had also budgeted money with Greater City Schools, and then we didn't spend it. And I think there was, goodness, I think there was anywhere, I want to say it was like 60 grand that we had left over from that. Are we able to utilize money that was already flagged for governance training? Can we pull some of that, put it towards this?
So Trustee Stevens, is exactly what I was referring to. So there is money left from the canceled agreement. You do have another item on here that's on the agenda tonight that's a cost that we're going to have to pay for. So I have my little tracker to see how we can pay for all this stuff. And then we have, of course, the search that we're still, we have to close that out as well. So a couple different things, but there is still money available that we could use to offset if the board wanted to do the full package with Dr. Alsbury.
Thank you. So just keep in mind that there is money from the Council of Great City Schools, but we are using it as we go along. So Joe, our board liaison, will be responsible for keeping track of that. Trustee Dominguez.
If we're ready for the motion, I would like to motion to approve 2.01 governance professional learning.
Thank you. With the caveat, right, Trustee Dominguez, that we could access the funding for the difference and that instruct Mr. Caruso to work with purchasing on the details.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to second that motion, but after seconding that motion, I did have a follow-up question or statement after making the motion.
Thank you. So we will now cast our votes. Trustee Zamora, are you still on the line?
Yes, aye.
Okay. Okay, that passes 7-0. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President. And I'm sorry that I didn't bring this up before, but I didn't want to get in the way of the motion there. I just wanted to address, because it didn't seem like we actually had any discussion on what Trustee Esparza-Stofrican had brought up, and in deference to what Dr. Ellsbury had said, that we're going to have a very tight timeline. I also wonder if there even could be something like an abbreviated version of what Trustee Esparza-Stofrican was bringing up, because I think it would really be to our benefit to be able to see that, because constantly one of the things asked the most from the new trustees as they are trying to drink out of that proverbial fire hose and try to absorb everything is, what did you used to do, what got changed, and what are we doing now? So if there's any way working with Dr. Ellsbury that we could do some form of that, I wanted to see if there was some appetite for that from the other board members.
Thank you. I will commit to work towards that, understanding that that is a need and purposeful for this team. So I will commit to working with Dr. Ellsbury for some form of what we're asking, that Trustee Esparza-Stofrican is asking for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, then we're going to go ahead and move to agenda. Thank you, Dr. Ellsbury.
Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you.
Now we're going to go ahead and move to agenda item 2.02, board committees, and that is myself. I want to thank everyone and thank Trustee Zamora, who put out the email and collected people's choices. And so with that, I am looking for my list. One moment. Mr. Caruso, can I ask you to come back up because I want to make sure I get the list right. So the first one is the Bond Oversight Committee. Is that what you have?
So, Madam President, correct. So we have the reference material. It's reference 2.02C, and that shows basically the vacant. Vacant means a previous board member who served last year, so their name was removed. This is a draft, and then the goal is to find out either A, interest for the vacant positions, B, the current trustees that are listed, if the appetite is to continue in that role, or if there's any changes. There are two that are noted in red that require full board action. So there is an item after this to talk about the Debt Management Commission Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition, because that does require a vote. And then the Nevada Interscholastic Activities Association does require board action. And I did note on there that Trustee Cavazos' term is through June of 2026.
Great. So help me through this process. So then for the Bond Oversight Committee, my desire is to appoint Trustee Stevens. Thank you for your interest. For the Council of Great City Schools Board of Directors, I will stay on that. For the Nevada Association of School Boards, myself and Trustee Zamora, I'm the president-elect of NASB, and she is also on the Board of Directors. And so those will be the appointed people. For just the NIAA, Trustee Cavazos, I know we're going to have to take a vote, but thank you for your continued service on that. For the Oversight Panel of School Facilities, I'm asking Trustee Esparza-Strofagan to fill that role for us. For the Public Broadcasting Service and American Public Television, I'm asking Trustee Dominguez to fill that role for us. For the Public Education Foundation, Trustee Johnson volunteered for that. And for the School Naming Committee, Trustee Henry volunteered for that. And then the debt management, I can talk about that in a little bit because do I talk about it now or wait till we have to vote for it?
So, Madam President, this is a discussion item. The next item is a discussion
Okay.
and possible action, so you'd have to entertain public comment on that. So I would probably, I'm getting a nod from John, recommend we just keep these two separate.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there any questions from the trustees? Trustee Cavazos.
Yes. Are we going to do all of these in one, or are we going to go one thing at a time?
Thank you for that question. We're going, we can do them one at a time, knowing that debt management and the NIAA will have to require board action.
Okay. So on the school naming committee, I believe we have 2 trustees on that.
I am taking myself off.
You're taking yourself off?
Yes.
Okay, so then and I had requested that one. So you're appointing Trustee Henry?
Yes, and if you would like to be the vice chair, that would be helpful.
I would, yeah. You didn't
Okay.
say anything about the second one, so I wasn't
Yes.
sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Also, too, on any of these committees, right now we're not doing the trustee appointments to committees. This is just the appointments of the trustees to committees.
By the president, yes.
Okay, I wanted to state just because I just think that some of these, we haven't had a chance to update them, so there might be a couple of things that are kind of out of whack. So I just wanted to point out that on NIAA, it's only one member, it's only one trustee. It used to be 2 trustees, but it's only one member. And I think there was one other one, I might need Mr. Caruso to help me out on this one here, because I didn't have time today to go back and look. But, Mr. Caruso, were there not 2 or 3 other committees that within the last couple of years that we had withdrawn from?
So Trustee Cavazos, the list that you're looking at mirrors the list from last year. Years ago, we did have an in policy as part of the process, I know with Dr. Alsbury, to update. There are committees that we have had in the past, like for example, at the time this policy was adopted, the School Board Student Advisory Committee actually still fell under the board. That shifted to the superintendent's lane. There were, let's see, American Education Week, that committee hadn't existed, so that's one that we stopped appointing someone to a few years back. So the policy itself does need to be updated just to reflect current listing. But the listing you have, the reference is what we used last year, and those are active committees that we have representatives on.
Okay, so School Community Partnership Advisory Council, who is our current member on that? School, it's on page 2 of 3. It's the next to the last, right above School Naming Committee.
So again, that's another one that we haven't had, so I don't even know if that committee still exists, so.
Okay. I
So
was
that
just
was one
wondering
that-
if we could kind of get this updated as soon as possible to avoid confusion. Is that something we would need to do now or put on a future work session?
So want me to answer?
Yes,
So,
please, Mr.
Trustee Cavazos, because it is in policy, it would have to go through kind of to answer what Trustee Esparza-Stopkin's question was. All the policies have to come back as we follow the notice of intent process. So we would probably need to put on a work session, have a discussion, then get the collective revisions from the board, do the notice of intent, and it would come back twice the second time, same as district policies and regs.
Okay.
If we were to change anything on
So I
it.
just wanted to clarify, so some of these committees, we are not actually serving on now, but they're just kind of there because we haven't come back and we haven't gone through the process.
Yes,
Is
that's
that
accurate.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, and forgive me, I'm trying to take my own notes here. Who is our present representative to PEF, to the Public Education Foundation?
Currently, it's vacant. It was Trustee Brooks before her term was over.
Okay, I thought she had given that up before, okay. Thank you, that's all the questions I have right now.
Okay, awesome. So this is not an action item, but I do see Trustee Dominguez in the queue.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to clarify because I saw we had the, kind of like what Trustee Cavazos was mentioning with these extra ones. So there was the community education advisory boards. I know that the communities still hold those boards. And I know there's principals that attend those board meetings. So I'm just trying to understand, at some point, was there trustees going to the meeting, or was there a representative going to the meetings, and now the last board stopped, or?
Thank you. I'll ask Mr. Caruso to chime in.
They just didn't do it.
So the Community Education Advisory Board, that, like for example, I think Moapa Valley has maintained their meetings.
Right.
I know I've gone out with former trustees to attend the meetings.
And Mesquite.
Whether they, usually the community will say, can we have, we'll send an invitation to the board if the board member for that district or area will go and attend the meeting. Back, a few years ago on the agenda, there was a committee report item that was on there, and I know Dr. Alsbury will talk about that when he gets into reviewing the policies, where updates were provided to the board. Whoever would attend the meeting would say, like, this is the update from that, and this is what's occurring, et cetera. So,
Would it be each, because this is an enormous district, so would that one trustee go to different town section, like council meetings? Or would it be just they're in their area?
So community education advisory boards are two different things.
Yes.
They're actually, like the Moapa Valley, they actually, and I'd have to go back and do the research, but if memory serves, they submitted a formal letter to the board saying, look, we've come together, we're creating a community education advisory board. That was a whole process, and then the board said, okay, look, we'll work with you. It's different than like a city municipality. They're two different things.
Got it. Okay, so I was curious if we still were doing that. And then the second question I had, kind of a clarifying, is are we choosing liaisons also?
Can you help me with that question,
So
liaison?
on page 1 of 5, it lists like AZAC, the audit committee, that there is a board liaison.
Thank you. Mr. Caruso?
Yeah, so great question. So when the board worked on this, there was a lot of confusion as to what's a liaison and what's a member. So if you look at reference 2.02B, the Appendix A, GP board committees, the second column, it says liaison is a non-trustee, a member is a trustee. Okay? So for example, to your question, one of the things that came up, I think you asked about the AZAC. So the AZAC committee, there's a liaison, which is a non-trustee that would serve. So a trustee doesn't serve on the AZAC committee, in other words. The same for audit advisory. A trustee doesn't serve on audit advisory. So the audit advisory committee, in their bylaws, they would then determine who the chairperson would be, and then that chairperson would then be the liaison to the board. Does that kind of make sense?
I see. So it would be a member of the audit committee or AZAC. That person, whoever that chair is, would then be the liaison. Okay.
Correct.
I'm
That
glad
is
we clarified
correct.
that one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a learning process for us, and congratulations on completing our first 90 days. So, so this is not an action item, so is there any other questions, Trustee Cavazos?
I'm so sorry. I'll try to go really fast here. So what I have on the list right now, and again, we'll have to bring these back, is I'm just putting like little zeros here next to like American Education Week, Community Education Advisory Boards. Mr. Caruso just kind of informed us on that. Madam President, on Nevada Association of School Boards. So will it be only yourself and Vice President Zamora that will be serving? We had 3 members on that before, and I know that Vice President Zamora is on the Legislative Committee, I believe.
That is correct.
And you're the President-elect. So will we have 2 other members serving, or?
Yes, no one volunteered their hand, but, so we have to take a little bit more time to work through that.
Okay, so,
Nobody-
but we will.
Oh, Trustee Zamora?
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt, President Bustamante Adams. Trustee Cavazos, I actually did check with the executive director of NASB about our open seat, because we previously had 3 members on the board, but that was because no one had volunteered to be the legislative chair for the last session, and that's when Trustee Brooks volunteered, and that was the only reason they left a 3rd seat for NASB from Clark County. But as of now, we only have the 2 seats and they are filled up. So I did double check twice with the executive director to just make sure we didn't have that extra member seat available.
Thank you so much, because that's kind of what I thought had been the case, and it was just kind of an unusual situation that we had 3 at that time, correct, Trustee Zamora?
Correct, and it was only because they didn't have anyone for the legislative chair position.
Thank you. So the other ones that I have down on the list, I'm just taking these notes down, that we can check back when we're going to go through the protocol. Clark County Parks and Recreation, I don't think we have anybody serving on that. And then, of course, the Student Advisory Committee, that's under the superintendent now. School Community Partnership Advisory Council, school naming is done. And on the Debt Management and Southern Nevada Regional Planning Commission, are we splitting that, or is that the one that was assigned to Trustee Esparza-Stoffergen?
That one is the next agenda item.
The next
and we're
agenda
gonna-
item?
yes.
Okay. So, okay, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zamora, for the update. Thank you for the questions. Trustee Dominguez?
I do have another question. I apologize. Thank you, Trustee Cavazos. And I apologize to the public. We have to have these discussions out in public. So my question was I know with attending the county commissioner meeting they had with the superintendent, the appetite was to have more collaboration with the county commissioners. And I know, having that Clark County Parks and Rec member, I think, would be really detrimental. Do we know what happened to that position or how it dissolved?
That was before my time, so I'm going to ask Mr. Caruso for some history. The one on the Clark County Parks and Recreation.
Trustee Dominguez, if memory serves, I don't know if that committee was still active. I think we had someone that participated. I'm seeing Trustee Cavazos shake her head. I think the committee itself, because a lot of the times the board would be asked to be a part of committees, but then the board's not the one facilitating the committee. We're just members. You're just members to it. So I think that committee, if I remember, it kind of fell to the wayside. So
I see.
Not speaking poorly of the county. I think it just was not. I think maybe restructuring or whatnot occurred.
I see. So we were part of it at one point, but then it dissolved via the county.
And what
Oh,
we can
Parks
do,
and Rec,
Trustee
yeah.
Dominguez, is actually verify that. Because in cleaning up this policy, then we can go back and look at the committees that Trustee Cavazos named and verify that they're no longer in existence.
Perfect, thank you. And I was trying to write down the other trustees' names as you were speaking them out, Madam President. Did you select
do we have an oversight panel for the school facilities, or?
Yes, and the oversight panel, I'm asking trustee Esparza-Stroff to be our eyes and ears.
Thank you. And then I missed the PEF.
PEF, yes, trustee Johnson signed up for that, yes, I appointed him.
I see. And then do we have, and you said bond oversight was Stevens?
Correct.
Correct, okay. I'm so sorry, I was trying to write them as we were
That's
going.
okay.
And then we are going to be voting on the debt management, and then we're going to be voting on the NIAA.
That's right.
And then, NASB was, it was yourself and
Trustee
Zamora.
Zamora, yes.
Got it. Great, thank you. And I'm on PBS.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, you're welcome. Trustee Cavazos?
No, I believe that you covered everything there. I think I had a question that people were just confused, and you just, I think, confirmed it, that they had a question about the oversight panel, and they were thinking that was bond oversight representatives, two different things. So I think you covered that already. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Satori?
Yes, my question was also about the two committees, or two of the committees that Trustee Dominguez was talking about because of the Clark County Commission conversations we've been having, the Parks and Rec and the Community Education Advisory Board Committee. So I would also, if you're kind of getting more information on those two, I'd like to have that as well. And is there a place to access like prior minutes from those two committees, or any information of, you know, what was discussed previously and some of those things?
So Trustee Satori, to your question, so the Community Education Advisory Board they're not Clark County School District committees. So we don't facilitate them, like the MOAPA, right. So for example, MOAPA, and I think Dr. Larson Mitchell attended. I know I would go with the trustees in the past. They would invite you to it. I want to say Judy Thornley, if I remember correctly. I think Judy was the chair. I think Trustee Cavazos is nodding yes. Is the chair, Jody, thank you, is the chair. So she would send an invite to the board would go out, but that's their community committee. I think there was one other one, I want to say Boulder City at one point, but I'd have to go back and research that. But they presented to the board that they want to become a community education advisory board, invited the board to be, to attend, and then they did all the minutes and agendas, et cetera. So.
What about the Parks and Rec one?
Parks and Rec, same thing. Clark County would invite the board to have someone attend the meetings, and then I can't.
So those meetings are still taking place, or gone off of. So those meetings are still taking place. We're just not sending a representative, essentially.
I don't think we've actually received an invitation to attend, to be honest with you. I think at one point the board had a person attend, but I don't know where that communication stopped, for lack of better words. So I don't know, maybe during the pandemic it could be. I know a lot of things kind of halted with the committees, so that could have been the case. But if there's information on that and the appetite is to have the board, then I would say maybe refer it to Trustee Bustamante Adams so that we could get that on the discussion piece.
And we will, Trustee Satori, we will research those so that we can know whether they're still happening and the invitation got lost in the mail or something. So, okay.
Trustee Bustamante Adams, just to clarify, so the next item is the Debt Management Southern Nevada Regional Planning Commission. The NIA item is not on the agenda tonight because Trustee Cavazos' term is still current till June of 26.
Okay.
So that would
got
come
it.
back as an actual agenda item.
Thank you, because I was
when that
looking
point-
for it.
Okay.
I couldn't find it. I was like, where did it go? Okay. Thank you so much. All right, with that then, we're going to go ahead and move to agenda item 2.0. Yes, Trustee Zamora?
Yes, just quick thank you to Joe for clarifying that, because I did want to mention NIAA is not on the agenda, but I also want to give space to Trustee Johnson, who I see online, to see if he has anything to add.
Thank you, Trustee Zamora. Trustee Johnson?
Oh, thanks I'm here, I'm tracking. I'm excited to join the space with the PEF, and so I appreciate the opportunity to participate even more deeply.
Thank you so much. Mr. Caruso, I'm going to have you come up for debt management at well. We're going to go ahead and move over to 2.03. This is a voting item. Is there anyone that has not had a chance to complete a public speaker card? Okay, I'll close that. Mr. Caruso, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So, Madam President, so on December 4th of 2024, the board approved an interim appointment of Madam President to serve in that role as the board representative to Debt Management Commission and Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition. It is one member. The term is coterminous with the appointee's elected term of office. So that is actually, it's spelled out in, and that's listed as reference material on here for the trustees, but that's actually a committee. The committee meets. There's actually a meeting tomorrow morning, as you know, because you've been attending on behalf of the board. So we do need a formal vote, a motion to appoint a member, and then that person would serve coterminous with the end of their term.
Now, now break down that word. What other word could we use there besides that one that's in the bylaws?
So, correct. So it's, Trustee Cavazos, to your point, so it's basically saying that the elected member's term expires at the same time their appointment would expire.
Thank you for that,
committee,
for
which
putting
is why
that
we brought-
clarification on the record.
Which is why we brought it back in December, because the previous board member's term had expired at the end of December.
Thank you so much. Trustee Cavazos?
Yes, question for Mr. Caruso. Don't go. Did you say that it had to be an elected member? That means that one of our appointed members cannot serve on this particular committee? Because they are serving on other committees.
So Trustee Cavazos, so in the reference material, so it's actually posted that the Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition has to be an elected person. That is actually stipulated in their, I think it's a memorandum of agreement.
Yeah, in accordance with the NRS.
Correct, and because both committees are the same person for the board, that's where that elected person would serve.
So let me speak to that if you'd like to ask the question. So I did speak to Trustee Esparza-Straff again because she did express interest to, and I was going to appoint her, but the word that Mr. Caruso used, the matching, had to be an elected. And so one of the things that I spoke to her about is that I could continue to serve and then have Trustee Esparza-Straff again join me at each one of these meetings so that there is an intentionality of her interest in training to learn about debt management. And so I did contact the chair of debt management and ask that question, and that would work for them. So,
thank you. I'm really glad to hear that. I think that that's going to be a really good solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Dominguez.
Madam President, with respect, I think that it's there's a lot of duties with your position and entailing and a lot of time. If I could offer myself instead for this position and to have possibly an appointed trustee also along with, I think that'd be a great combination. But and with respect to your position, I think that is a lot of duties to be into one person.
Thank you for that. Let's consider that as a team. Trustee Stevens?
I actually was going to say something very similar. I actually teach on debt management in the community. So I thought, teaming up with Trustee Esparza-Straff might be a really good match as well. So just a few things to discuss as we're throwing people's names out there.
So I think what I'm taking away is that you are also interested in debt management and would be willing to, okay? Thank you. Trustee Esparza-Straff?
So it's interesting because it was actually when we were given the ask to volunteer for certain committees, it was the only committee that I really was interested in. So I appreciate, colleagues, you thinking innovatively about this solution, and I appreciate the president for thinking a little bit differently, because just because things have been done a certain way in the past, we're trying to move a path forward differently. And so I'm amicable to work with any elect and support, and I'm kind of putting it as an advertisement for myself, that I do have relationships with every municipality. So it's kind of why I wanted to support the work and how we're trying to rebuild some of our relationships with the different commissions as well. And I did, by the way, look up some of the committees currently, and the Parks and Recs does no longer exist, FYI.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President. And again, I still think it's a really good idea for an elected to work with Trustee Stoffergen, and I also want to chime in with my colleagues Stevens and Dominguez as far as you already have like a lot on your plate. I wanted to note that I did not hear Trustee Biasotti's name listed on any of the committees, and I didn't want to leave her out as far as being a part of any of these committees. So I wondered if she would be amenable to stepping up for this.
Trustee Biasotti.
Trustee Biasotti, for the record. I appreciate your thoughtfulness, but at this time, I didn't feel that there was a position I'd like to take on any of the committees, given that my situation, balancing things out, I opted not to, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Then, I know that this is not an appointment for me, from me, and I would be very willing to take myself off of this one. Although I love the committee, but I would be, yes. And so I would entertain a motion. I have two interested trustees. So Trustee Dominguez?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to motion to appoint myself along with an appointed trustee to the Debt Management Commission.
Thank you. Do I and Trustee Zamora?
It was previously. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
And I had.
Okay. I just saw it flash on my screen, but so my please forgive me. Trustee Barron?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam President. I'd like to second Trustee Dominguez's motion.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Would you please cast your votes? Let's see, Trustee Zamora?
I'm sorry, President. I do have a question. To clarify, there is two people who are interested to nominate, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Nay.
Okay. Okay, help me here with the math. So I have 2 yeses and 3 noes and 1 abstaining. So then that motion does not pass. I will entertain another motion.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'm not sure your math is right. What is you said it's,
That's what I said. Help me with the math.
it's 2 yeses, 4 noes, and 1 abstain.
What? Say it one more time.
4 ayes.
4 ayes.
I'm sorry.
No.
2 ayes.
Okay.
4 nays, 1 abstain.
2 ayes, 4 nays, and 1 abstain.
Correct.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos.
Yes, and I was trying to get this in before it didn't happen because it just went so fast. And to what Trustee Zamora was saying, as far as the process, I don't know if this would be like officer elections, but we had 2 trustees that expressed interest. So, you know, I didn't know if maybe we could have like done a nomination for each one, had them say a few words, because what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at who was assigned to what committee, and I see that Trustee Stevens is already assigned to bond oversight, and Trustee Dominguez is already assigned to PBS, which was a position I held before. Bond oversight, I will say right now, as the trustee representative, takes a lot more time. PBS is 1 meeting a month. They're usually like virtual. So I'm not sure. I guess we could ask counsel. You know, we kind of steamrolled right through that. I was just wondering if we followed correct procedure, or Does it matter, or, can we just pick?
Yeah,
which-
I'll ask legal counsel to chime in, but Trustee Dominguez did make the motion, and so Trustee Barron
Okay.
seconded it.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
John Okazaki, General Counsel. I didn't see any violation
Yeah,
of
I
open
didn't
meeting
see it.
or
Okay.
Robert's Rule of Order.
No, I didn't think it was a violation either.
Okay, Trustee Esparza Strophagan.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Trustee Emily Stevens to the Debt Management and, what is the second committee called?
The Southern Nevada
Southern Nevada
Regional.
Regional Planning Commission, in addition to myself as the appointed Ramona Esparza Strophagan.
Thank you, okay, and do I, Trustee Biasotti?
I have a question. Did you express interest first, Trustee?
Thank you, I did, I'm on it now, but I'm taking myself off. So I was just a temporary gap until we got new people in.
Understood. I will second the motion in that
Okay,
case.
thank you. I have a first and a second. Will you please cast your votes? Trustee Zamora.
Aye.
That passes 7-0. Okay. Thank you. Now we're going to go to 2.04, appointment of bond oversight committee members. Dr. Larson Mitchell, is this you or is this Joe? Who is it?
Madam President, members of the board, so our Bond Oversight Committee has not met in a couple of months due to lacking members. So we received nominations from trustees and staff worked together to provide a recommendation to me, which you have before you this evening. We're eager to get this committee back up and running, and so it is before you as a recommendation.
Thank you. And Dr. Larson Mitchell, is there somebody that can go over it just high level? And then before we do that, this is an action item. Is there a public comment card that hasn't been submitted yet? Okay, I'll close that motion. Dr. Larson Mitchell?
Yes, for the record, Brenda Larson Mitchell. So per the bylaws, staff are to provide a recommendation to the superintendent. And so I had Diane Bartholomew, Brandon, and John Okazaki work together to provide a recommendation. You'll also notice on the chart for members for the Bond Oversight Committee, the superintendent position is vacant. Previously, there was an employee there, but per governance policy, employees are not to be on the committees, so that is vacant for our incoming superintendent to make a decision there. So at this time, I'll let Brandon, Mr. McLaughlin, and Mr. Okazaki kind of go through the process. Thank you.
Madam President, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Larson Mitchell, Brandon McLaughlin for the record. I think the commentary to date has covered it well. I don't know what other additional gaps I can provide, but certainly Bond Oversight has lacked sufficient membership, so we're excited about these nominations. So just very briefly, I'll walk through the 5 people that are under consideration today. So Mr. Flatt has been an active member of the committee and he's contributed really meaningfully. So that's why we're recommending reappointment of that. We also then received nominations for Miss Sally Accord, David Filippo, Nakia Jackson-Hale, and Margarita Gamboa Harris. All had various experiences related to these areas of expertise identified in the bylaws. So we felt they all had meaningful contributions and why we're recommending them forward. So with that, any questions I can answer, happy to.
Thank you. And I do have a question. So we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the reappointment and then the 4 new ones, that would make a complete slate for our Bond Oversight Committee, right? Except for the superintendent one, but
Sorry, I couldn't hear the last part.
except for the superintendent one.
With the exception of the superintendent one, yes, every seat would be vacant, but I will put a caveat that soon there will be a memorandum to the trustees that have their direct appointments up for renewal. So pending those being reappointed, and being fulfilled either by reappointment or a new selection, we would then have a full slate.
Thank you. And Mr. Caruso, I have a question, technical. Don't go anywhere, Brandon. Is it tradition to take these one by one, or do you take the whole group as a whole?
So, Madam President, I think in the past, the item actually would come with recommendations and has been both ways, where it could be taken as one vote to accept. If there's any discussion, it's really the pleasure of the board at that point.
Okay.
'Cause these are at-large appointments. And I say this respectfully, does everyone know the difference? Because I want to make sure
Yeah,
the
we're going to
committees
take a
are very
quiz.
tricky.
Quiz us, Mr. Caruso.
And I think it's really a good teachable moment that we're all in the same spot at the same time to hear this. So if it's okay, I think we can clarify what the difference between direct and at-large
Yes,
appointments.
please do.
Okay. So 7 elected members get 1 direct appointment each. So that means anyone in your district that you want to recommend that potentially fulfills the categories that you say, hey, I have someone who's a financial management person. Yes, I want to nominate them. You would then submit that person's name. Also, you would find out, does the person have a child or grandchild in the district? Because Mr. McLaughlin has a criteria set by the Bond Oversight Committee bylaws that we have to have a threshold met of how many people have children or grandchildren within the district, which is part of the challenge that we've had the last few months because we've not met the threshold, which then delays the committee. At-large appointments have to be made by the board. So any board member can say, I have an at-large member that I recommend, but it then goes through the process, which is outlined in the bylaws, where the superintendent, the assistant superintendent of facilities would then receive the information, the bio, the name, the category, child, grandchild, and then they would then bring that recommendation forward. So I know that it's hard when we're moving fast with the committees. We have a couple different committee that Mr. McLaughlin's working with now that he's asked for feedback for, AZAC being the committee. So it's just, I appreciate the minute to just clarify that, because I know that Mr. McLaughlin works really hard to get the committee fulfilled, and I know the superintendent's been working even harder to get this back open so that you guys can move forward with it. So did I capture that correctly? Anything? Okay.
Thank you. Anything, Superintendent, that you want to say? Okay. Then if I would like to take the slate as a whole with the reappointment of Mr. Flatt and then the 4 new, unless there's any discussion. Oh, Trustee Cavazos.
Me again. I just wanted to thank Brandon very much for all my questions that I posed to our liaison that he then had to send to Brandon. To say that I was passionate about this was, I couldn't get that out of my head 4 months without a meeting, and then he was working so hard to try to find somebody. So I'm just going to go ahead and just, humble brag here that 3 of these appointments are mine, 2 of the at-large and the direct. But I did have a question if Mr. McLaughlin wouldn't mind kind of just educating us a little bit on this. On the at-large, the direct appointment is for 1 year. Is that correct? I'm looking at when the term ends.
For the at-large or for the direct? Because you said
For the
both.
direct, it says 6/1/26.
Yes.
Okay, and that one was vacant before, so I'm sorry I didn't ask you this before because I didn't look at the date, I'll confess. So are those normally 2 years on the direct appointments?
It's a good question, Trustee Cavazos.
Odd and even, right?
Yeah, we have to have 7 appointed, 7 to even years and 8 to odd years. So when we track those out,
Okay.
that's how we establish those criteria. But yes, they should be, the bylaws also stipulate members appointed, whether direct or at large, should be up to 2 years. But that's where we have to play with that
Okay.
odd and even scenario.
Okay, and I didn't know if everybody knew that, and that would explain why one of my other at-large, Ms. Gamboa Harris, hers would be also one of the even ones and be 1 year, whereas the other 2 would be 2 years. Am I getting that correct?
Right.
Okay. And just to let everybody know, they all have kids or grandkids in the district, right? So.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Trustee Dominguez?
Thank you. And this may be a clarifying question. So for the appointments that are at large, are they voting members?
Yes, they all have the same rights and responsibilities as the direct appointments do in the committee.
Thank you. And then I noticed there's quite a few of appointed and at-large and direct appointments that do not have children in the district or grandchildren in the district. That's quite concerning to me. I know some of the ones we have, the new ones I see do. However, I noticed there's one for the at-large appointment, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 for the direct appointments. Was it maybe a situation where they had children previously in the district, and then maybe they changed, or kind of, I'm trying to understand that situation.
It's a good question. I don't know the family history on all of them, so it's probably unique to each one. But yeah, very much. I know some of the committee has adult children oftentimes, and maybe not quite grandkids yet. That's a predicament many of them likely are in. But yeah, I don't know the exact context for each one.
Thank you. And I mean, this would be just a suggestion to my colleagues is to take a look at those appointments. These people are making decisions for our children and generational decisions that are not just 5 year, 10 years, but 50 years down the line. And so I would encourage you to look at your direct appointments, and if they do not have children in the district, I would highly encourage you to change them to someone who does have children in the district.
Thank you. Trustee Esparza-Straffigan?
So, Brandon, my understanding is it's only a certain percentage that requires you to have on the committee student or children in the district. And I'll do a follow-up once you answer that.
So yes, the bylaws do stipulate 50% of the membership or more should be children or grandchildren. I'd say maybe to go back to Trustee Dominguez's question a little bit, because I think it's applicable to this. I mean, this committee does have a technical charge of it. You have to have certain credentialing or qualifications to be speaking on construction design, financial management, construction law, the areas of expertise it stipulates. So while we want parent involvement, absolutely, we also want people representative of that industry to speak to it.
And you just answered my second question, because I noticed 2 of the names, without naming them, maybe don't have children in the district, but they definitely have technical expertise in the field, which we would want those experts to kind of be weighing in. So it's nice to see, and thank you, shout out to Linda, Trustee Cavazos, for doing the hard lift and getting all of those members in so that that meeting can happen and occur. So thank you, Trustee Cavazos.
Trustee Dominguez?
Thank you, Madam President. I did just want to point out, we do have one, with respect to Trustee Henry in her district, one direct appointment that was previous to when you were here, is someone who does not have children in the district nor has any kind of industry experience listed here. So they don't have any kind of engineering or financial management or construction law development planning. So I just wanted to include that in. And I also wanted to point out we do have one of the at-large appointments here, Nakia Jackson Hale, here in the audience. So I'm not sure we can give her some time, but we are appreciative of your service as a previous trustee and now again as the bond oversight at-large appointment.
Thank you. We'll do that after the vote. But Mr. McLaughlin, do you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, and Trustee Henry can probably speak to it as well. That's just an oversight of the X on Mr. Jones's qualifications. He formerly owns a construction company and has a wealth of knowledge and was formerly on the Bond Oversight Committee.
Thank you for that clarity. Oh, Trustee Henry, sorry.
May I add, and has been a mentor in the community and has supported several students going to college, just a lot of things. So I did take all of those factors into consideration when I appointed him. But thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead, and if there is no other discussion, I'm going to take it as a group vote unless somebody else wants to take it individually. So Trustee Cavazos. Oh, Trustee Zamora.
President Bustamante Adams, just want to acknowledge Trustee Johnson is also on the line. And then just public comments, since this is a voting item.
Thank you so much. So Trustee Zamora, do you have any other comments besides that?
No, just thank you to Brandon for clarifying the qualification about student, because there's just many boards through the district, even our own board, where it's not a qualification for people to have students in the district. It is nice because you're talking from experience, but there's just a plethora of people who have different experiences in different fields.
Thank you. Trustee Johnson, any comments?
None for me, thank you.
Okay. And then we did not have anybody in public comments signed up or turned in a card. So then I will entertain a motion. Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would like to make a motion to approve 2.04, approval to reappoint David Flatt and appoint Sally Accord, David Filippo, Margarita Gamboa Harris, and Nakia Jackson Hale as at-large members to the Bond Oversight Committee of the Board of School Trustees as recommended.
Thank you. Trustee Esparza-Straffigan?
I will second that motion.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Can you please cast your votes? Trustee Zamora?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes 7-0. And Ms. Jackson Hale, can you come up? Just wanted to say thank you, and if you have any words that you would like to say.
Nakia Jackson Hale for the record. Thank you for this opportunity to, again, work closely with CCSD. I know that there's a lot of work to do since the committee hasn't met in quite some time, and I am ready for the task. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you volunteering. Mr. McLaughlin, can you come back up? I have a question for you. So now that we have a full slate, thank you, Ms. Jackson Hill. Now that we have a full slate, the desire is to get this group to meet this month. Is that accurate?
Brandon McLaughlin for the record, yes. So they are customarily scheduled for the third Tuesday of every month, but with the appointments today, we wouldn't have hit the 15th of when that should have been scheduled, but we were able to push it a week in working with the board chair, the committee chair, and so we're going to hold a meeting this 22nd of this month to start the work. 11:30, yeah.
Thank you.
Here in this room.
In this room.
But with a full slate, I don't know if we have 15 seats at the dais, so we'll have to figure that out.
No, we barely fit now. So can you repeat the date and time?
Yeah, I believe it's April 22nd at 11:30 in the morning.
April 22nd at 11:30.
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much. We are now ready to move to 2.05. This one is an action item. Is there anybody that has not submitted a public comment card that would like to? Okay, I will close that. I'm going to have our legal counsel to help me with this. This is a discussion possible action to employ special board counsel to represent the Board of Trustees in negotiating an employment agreement with our selected superintendent, Joan Ebert.
Thank you, Madam President. John Okazaki, General Counsel for the record. To remind the board, the item we have here today is for the board to hopefully select or hire an attorney or an attorney's firm, a firm, to represent them in negotiating the employment agreement with Joan Ebert. So I would like to give you my objective background as to the people who are being presented for your consideration. And I'll say this, we asked for who they would be providing as far as which attorney, the rate that they would charge you, and also a commitment to be able to work immediately, starting tomorrow, with the hopes to have an employment agreement on the board's agenda on April 10th. Now, the way we collected these applicants, candidates, or so to speak, is there's a few that were on approved firms that I have, that I work with for in the Office of General Counsel. So they are already approved, and I know a little bit about their work. And then we also had Trustee Dominguez recommend a firm, and Trustee Stevens recommend a firm. Okay, so those, let me just give you the background, and these are in the reference materials. I will also tell you that the reference materials, you will see some difference, some, the bio, I just grabbed, I asked the attorney for their bio, or I grabbed what I could off of their webpage and put it into a Word document. Others had actual bios that they submitted, and so they're attached as separate documents. But basically, we tried to get you as much information as we could in the very, very short time period that we compiled this list. So we have 5 applicants available for you to consider tonight. If you look at reference A, this is Garin Law Group. The attorney would be Lisa Zastro. She would charge $260 an hour. And her reference materials are attached. Garin Law Group was formerly Lipson Nielsen, who has done work for the Clark County School District for my office. Some of their attorneys moved on and formed their own law firm, Garin Law Group. And you, in fact, I asked you to approve continuing to work with Garin Law Group just at the last board meeting on March 27th. So they're continued to be approved to do work for my office. Primarily, we use them for special education and general liability, but they do have an employment branch of their firm, and that's where Lisa works. The second one is Hutchinson and Steffen. This is the firm that was recommended by Trustee Stevens. They have produced 6 names, 6 attorneys who could possibly work. And you see the hourly rates in Exhibit, let me see what, Exhibit D. And their professional information is attached as well. Unfortunately, I do not have any further information, personal information. I have not had any dealings with Hutchinson and Steffen. I will tell you that all of these people come from very reputable firms. The next one is Littler. We have used Littler for many things. This is they specialize in employment law. The attorney they would provide is Wendy Krinsek, and she would charge $400 an hour. And her information is there on Exhibit K. The next one is Parker, Nelson, and Associates. Mr. Parker's firm is actually on our approved list. I was not familiar with him because he has done construction work for us in the past, and he's not currently representing us in any litigation, but we have used him in the past, and he is continued to be on our approved list. He has indicated that he would be available to assist the board in this assignment. His rate would be $450 an hour, and his information is attached. The last one is Howard & Howard. This firm was recommended by Trustee Dominguez. I spoke to Mr. Edelblut today. He would be the one who would be assisting in this assignment or this work. His rate is $500 an hour, and he provided the biography that you see in Exhibit N. So with that, unless you have any other questions, those are the 5 attorneys that you have for consideration for special counsel.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Trustee Cavazos?
Yes, Madam President. If we could just stipulate again, I think that most people know what the special board counsel is, what we are aiming for, that this is not the item under the permanent board counsel. This is the special board counsel that's specifically to help us negotiate the terms of the new superintendent's contract.
Yes, that is accurate. I had asked our legal counsel to say who they were, their rate, and each one of the recommendations of the 5 committed to work immediately because our goal is to get this on the April 10th board agenda. So that's the 3 things. We at least have commitments from all 5 to work on this immediately.
Right. I have a follow-up question, if that's
Yes,
okay.
please.
Also, too, I'm not sure, did all of these come in today? I know there were a couple of them that came in like around 3:20, and then some that came in at 1:30. But were the other ones there before that and I just missed it? Or did all the reference materials come in today?
I know that 3 of the reference materials came in today. One as late as like 3-something.
Yeah, it was 3:19.
Yeah, I think the other 2, well, Mr. Parker's is actually part of the next item for board counsel.
Right.
So his materials were presented.
Twice, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was only able to confirm with Mr. Parker today that he would be willing to also
be considered.
provide somebody for special counsel as well.
Okay, so my question is, with this arriving so late, did we have, and I don't know, and I apologize, Mr. Okazaki, if this was to fall on you or the board president or who was going to fall on, but did we have time for anyone to look at all of these and be able to vet for any conflict of interest, either previously if they applied or now? Is there any conflict? Did we have time to do that?
We did not. We did not. I will tell you that for, again, Mr. Parker's firm is different, a little bit different, because I was asked to check into a potential conflict with his firm in regard to the board counsel item, so I did do that. So I have checked into the potential conflict with one of his clients, but the other firms, we have not done any type of conflict analysis yet. Now, I will tell you, typically, it's going to be rare. It's going to be extremely rare that it's a conflict, because if their firm represents a client who happens to do business with the Clark County School District, and they are obligated to represent, first of all, you'd have to have a situation in which that client sues the board, not the district, but the board. So if they only sue the district, there's no conflict with your board counsel. Office of General Counsel will be representing the district. They're separately representing their client, so there's no conflict. The only time it would be actual a conflict is if somehow they actually name the board and the board's interests are diverse or in conflict with the district. So you'd have to have kind of the perfect storm. You would have to have a lawsuit in which both the district and the board were sued separately, and a determination that somehow the board's position was in conflict with the district's position, and therefore they both needed separate counsel. And at that point, you would have to have your own counsel, not OGC,
Right.
and therefore there could be a conflict between your counsel if that firm represents the plaintiff in that case. And I
Thank you.
discussed that with Mr. Parker, and I guess I can tell you now since it's relevant. His response was that it is very rare, but he does represent other boards. And in the very, very few times that it happened, he does, unless the parties waive it, he does ask the board to find separate counsel for just that one particular situation.
Okay, thank you so much, because there is one other one that was submitted here, and I may need to ask Mr. Caruso for help on this, but I'm going to go back and look at a couple of documents that I pulled up from a few years ago on our previous search, and I don't remember what the resolution was on that, because we ended up going with the DA counsel, but I think that there was a stipulated conflict of interest, and I need to go back and look at that. So I'm going to hold off on that for just a moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Biasotti?
Thank you, Madam President. I trust Trustee Stevens' recommendations, so I'm taking a closer look at Hutchison and Steffen. And the list here, it's a wide range, several attorneys, and the rates do range. So I'm wondering, how will it be determined which attorney is providing service? Is it based on availability, or what is it?
Great question. John, Mr.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I have not had a chance to speak to Mr. Hutchinson, but all of these, for example, Howard and Howard would be, well, Howard gave me the person that they wanted, but even Mr. Parker indicated that it would depend. I think he said that he would take it, and that's why I only listed him. In this situation, they would assign somebody who, for example, if you chose Hutchison and Steffen, they would have to identify which attorney they are going to, who's going to be available tomorrow. and start the work, and then that's what would be charged, that hourly rate.
Thank you. I will ask Trustee Stevens who her point of contact, if they've mentioned anything.
Thank you. So my point of contact is Piers. He's actually the more inexpensive one on the list. But I can literally message him quickly and see if we can get an answer on that, if we have the ability to negotiate who we would like out of the group, or if they are just going to assign. Good question.
Thank you. Trustee Esparza-Stroffigan?
Thank you, Mr. Ogazaki, because Trustee Cavazos is correct. Literally, some of the documents came in as we were driving to the meeting, so that makes it challenging for us to go through and review. So this is a simple, I wouldn't say simple, but this is more of reviewing a contract, developing, creating the language. It'll go back and forth for us to review and negotiate the terms. So I'm looking at the range, colleagues, of the cost per hour. So the lowest range is $260. The highest range is up to $500 an hour. My question, Mr. Ogazaki, from just estimating hypothetically, how many hours do you think potentially it could take?
I'm going to say conservatively, I mean, it would be feasible but amazing if it gets done in 10 hours. I think 15 hours is a good ballpark. I would not be surprised at 20. Just because I think with the discussions with Ms. Ebert will go quicker than the discussions with the board. When the way they discuss this with the board, there will be 11 members who will be providing input. So that can go quite long, like just the last time that I met with you guys about it. So I can imagine it going up to 20 hours, easy.
Thank you. Trustee Esparza-Stroffigan?
As a follow-up?
Yes.
Okay, I did the quick math, colleagues. So if it were up to the 20, the max would be up to $10,000. If we did the lowest, which is $260, would be half, about $5,200. So I'm just thinking fiscally responsible. I know that we want to go with, recommendations and such, but I just, in good conscience, with this process, we should go with someone that is competent and less cost. And that's probably what I would recommend.
Thank you for that. Trustee Barron?
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. And this kind of, legal representation, oftentimes, you get what you pay for. On the other hand, from just checking out the resumes of the people who applied, just looking at this, right, looks like we have several very responsible bidders. And in the public interest, I would recommend to my colleagues, we have someone here who is actually, they might be the lowest responsible bidder, but they also have lots of experience here dealing with public entities. Dieter, EEOC, Medical Board, Nevada State Board of Dental Examiners, and believe me, that's one where they go to court a lot. And so on this one, we need to get this contract done as soon as possible. I don't want us going into May here not having our superintendent in place. This is something, as has been explained to me, that typically, junior partners in law firms oftentimes have signed such a contract. I think in this case, we could have a person such as this Esquire Lisa J. Zastro. I'm sure this counselor can probably give us what we need, and probably at the lowest responsible price. And in this case, we're not being. This is not like a low ball where we have someone who's right off the street. This person's been at this for a while, and I think substantially at a lower cost. And I'd be very interested in this person taking on this contract. And with that, whenever it's done, I'd like to make the motion actually to pick her.
Not yet.
When it's
Okay,
time.
I'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Trustee Dominguez?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm trying to see if he is available. So I think it's really important to recognize we want a very quick turnaround, and we don't want to wait on anyone's schedule. I'm trying to confirm with the attorney that I had provided what their timeline is, but I think that we might have to give or take on the money. So if we want somebody who's faster, we may have to pay more versus saving money for someone who is available. So we need to balance that out. And I will, if I get a response quickly enough, I will respond to the board.
Thank you. Trustee Stevens, were you in or out? I don't know. Okay, Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you so much, Madam President, and thank you to my colleagues for their comments. I want to basically concur with Trustee Esparza-Stoffergen and also with Trustee Barone, and also to our thanks to Mr. Okazaki, who has been hanging in there with us bravely, I would say, and courageously through all of this, and who described to us that basically on this particular point, we need a qualified attorney that is basically going to be a scribe. They are going to be the go-between working with our president, and that is going to be, basically working out the details on our president communicating with us. And so I think here, do we need to go with somebody that's going to be $650 or $700 an hour? I don't think so. I would have to concur with Trustee Barone that Ms. Zastro from the Garin Law Group has some extensive experience, and it's very diverse experience. It's not just located in one area. And what Trustee Biasotti said, with a huge firm like the Hutchinson firm, we would have to go ahead and probably through Trustee Stevens find out who would actually be the person. But I don't know. I just kind of think that we have a task in front of us, and we also have another item on the agenda right now as far as getting to that item, which is going to be much more extensive, and that's looking at a permanent board counsel. So when the time comes, when it's time, I would like to second Trustee Barone's motion when we get there.
Thank you. Trustee Stevens.
I was just going to say that I was able to speak with Hutchison and Steffensen. Did I say that right? Yeah. I spoke to one of the partners at their firm just now, and he said that he understands the timeline. That was the big question for me when I put it out there to a few of the folks that I know in the community who can do this. Made sure there was no conflict of interest, which actually removed a few people immediately. And then the second thing was, can they do this in a very, very quick timeline? And so they know what we're trying to do. They know how quickly we need to do it. And in the message that I just received, they said that they can be flexible. Usually they'll try to see who has more time than another, but because it's such a fast process, that they would be willing to, let's say we had a preference from one of those partners, they would be willing to say, hey, just pause your stuff for a second if you can, and let's just focus on this very quickly. They want to make them available to us, was the wording that they used. So I just wanted to put that out there. That's available to us as well. There's flexibility.
Thank you. Trustee Esparza-Stoffergen, and then I'm going to go to Trustee Zamora and Trustee Johnson.
Mr. Okazaki, I apologize if you mentioned this. What is your understanding of the time frame that you said they could respond to us, just for the good of the group?
Thank you. Everybody on this list, I have confirmed that they know the timeline. So I said there's three things. I need a name, I need a rate, and I need a commitment that you can start working on April 3rd, and that we're going to work to get it completed by April 10th, and all of them did. So the ones, especially the ones with a single name, that person individually has committed to work that time frame.
Trustee Zamora, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
Trustee Johnson, do you have any questions?
Nope, I don't have a question, but I guess I just want to opine a bit and just and share. It feels like it's important just to make sure that, one,